The Ottawa Senators are going to miss Daniel Alfredsson. He's finally choosing to retire on December 4th in Ottawa before a game against the Islanders. The Ottawa Sun confirming that there will be a ceremony for the former captain. Tony House, what is the feeling now that Daniel Alfredsson is calling it a career?
No, I think everything's right. You know, I mean, obviously the blip going in is he should have been a Senator the whole way through. Should have been a Joe Sakic, Steve Yzerman, you know, guy who played all his career here and hung up the skates. And you know, unfortunately, just the one blip, one bad summer, and I'm not sure if that stems from, you know, lots of chat around you know, Melnyk and JP Barry, just you know, some rifts there, but obviously the phone call from Daniel to Brian Murray, the infamous car drive in Detroit, and you know, obviously you know, I think it's just I think this is the right thing to do, and I think hopefully, you know, Eugene you know, obviously is identifying that this is the right thing to do, and I think I don't think anybody can't wait till Thursday when he comes in here, and I guess all reports is announces retirement, and it would be great because he is just such. I can't think of a bigger sports icon in Ottawa, and I'll go back to, you know, I mean, I miss the heydays of Russ Jackson, but there's really no bigger name than Daniel Alfredsson in this city when it comes to sports. So, you know, I hope he comes home. I know he was a huge family guy, did a lot in this community for charity. All his kids were born here. We're going to school. We're playing in minor hockey leagues here. So I just think everything, you know, everything's right. And if I'm, you know, if I'm a betting man too, I could see him as part of this organization, you know, and a real part to the hockey side, not just some you know, community guy going to charity functions. I think that he has a lot to offer from the hockey side, and it'd be great to see him like take on a, you know, a Steve Yzerman or a Joe Sakic role, you know, down the road, because I think he's a hell of a hockey guy and a hell of a person.
You know, it's funny because time does heal all wounds, and we saw an example of it. I think it was yesterday. Martin St. Louis goes back to Tampa Bay for the first time. They had a video tribute for him, and there was this kind of thought, were they going to boo him or what? And I think there was a little bit of that negativity, and then all of a sudden there was like heartwarming applause. And I think the similarities, maybe, I mean, Martin St. Louis wanted to leave Tampa Bay. That was pretty obvious when all the stories were fleshed out and you got the true story. Daniel Alfredsson, whether it was about the contract, having to give up a lot of money, staying there for 1 year so he could help the team out financially, at the end of the day he left. But again, I could see that, what's the point now after all this time to really be negative about it?
Yeah, the same with Vince Carter, right? Just recently in Toronto. I mean, let's face it, Vince Carter put he's a Captain Canada and Kid Cat, whatever you want to call him. I mean, without Vince Carter, you know, I mean, you can say he was the Toronto Raptors in Canadian basketball, and a lot of people owe a lot to Vince. And you talk about these guys, the Anthony Bennetts and the Andrew Wiggins and these guys up and coming. It was all because of Vince Carter that they just, you know, they had a role model. And yeah, you know, you know, let's remember, this is a business, so let's not cut away from the fact that, yeah, it's you know, it does get a little personal and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, it's business, and people make you know, kind of business decisions. But I think, again, Daniel Alfredsson, the Vince Carter, you know, you can go back, and Martin St. Louis, you're right, time does heal, and rightfully so, they get appreciated.
Now,
and you know, the real essence of the Alfredsson deal, as I understand it, is Eugene Melnyk, unaware of the contribution that Alfredsson made to the Ottawa Senators hockey team by taking a $1 million salary in the last year of the contract. The understanding was very clear from Brian Murray through Alfredsson through Melnyk. This $1 million will be a part of the renegotiated next contract. Well, when he went to see about the renegotiation, they said, no, we're just going to stay where we are. You're going to play for $1 million. I mean, that was the end. If any man has any pride left in his body, he doesn't go back with those two. And that's what's going to be difficult for Daniel Alfredsson. I'm with Tony. I'd love to see him a part of that organization because he's got Ottawa written all over him, and there should have been a contract offered in an extended form of $4 million to make him whole from the year before. That's called a signing bonus. And $2.5 million for him to play if they didn't think he was ready to play. wants it an option, or the club has a club option of 2.5. So, look, he's only had 1 year away from Ottawa. They wouldn't have lost a lot of money on that. They could have deferred out the $4 million. It was a public relations disaster that only Eugene, the dancing machine, could orchestrate. And he's the guy that has to make Daniel Alfredsson feel like coming back home.
And the interesting thing is about Brian Murray. Here's Daniel Alfredsson going to be coming back home, and one of the participants in that whole drama, again, was Brian Murray, and Brian Murray is like extremely sick.
Yes. And
it's,
you know, Brian said right from the start, he defended Melnyk. He never deferred to Melnyk. Anytime he talked about it, we couldn't come to a deal. Well, they couldn't come to a deal because Melnyk was tight for money, and he was. When I say tight for money in the Empire, he didn't want to move the salary up. He wanted to make as much money as he could out of Ottawa, like we all would. But you don't do that at the expense of your very best player, the best player that's ever played in Ottawa. As Tony points out, the most iconic figure that ever played in Ottawa. And that is what Melnyk did. And if and when he admits it, that'd be nice. And I don't know that he has to publicly admit it, but he tried to sandbag Alfredsson and stiff him with and he did. And he paid the price. Alfredsson says, "See ya. You're not going to make me whole for the year I played at $1 million, then I don't want to be any part of you." That was the whole understanding of doing the deal, to accommodate the club for the salary cap, and I would do that, and with the understanding that when there was a new contract to come, I would be made whole. I can see that happening. Otherwise, you're not going to take that. You're going to say, hey, if I can't rely on you to be honorable and stick to your word, what have I got? What reason have I got to be in Ottawa? And at the end of the day, that was it. There was no honor among the thieves that were heretofore known as Eugene, the dancing machine.
So, Tony, fans have forgiven Alfredsson for leaving town. How have they forgiven Eugene Melnyk for letting him walk?
That's for what everyone's going to pass blame, but letting Alfredsson walk was. I still remember the summer day, sitting in a parking lot listening. I thought it was a joke. I really did. I thought that this thing would have got done, and the way it just sort of unraveled. Lots of again, everyone's throwing their own 2 cents in when it was happening, and even Daniel Alfredsson later that summer came back because he does work for the Royal Ottawa, the mental hospital here, and he sort of kind of clarified things that kind of, at the end of the day, I just think he wanted to just say, look, it wasn't me, and I don't, and let's be clear, as transparent as it is, and Bill, we all know about Eugene's, finances, and I think Eugene's got to make it right, and I think this is one of the steps of making it right, and then obviously I think he's got to reach out and get this guy as part of the organization. You lose Tim Murray, Brian's sick. Hopefully he'll be fine and he'll be okay for a while. Pierre Doria, and they got Lee, but I think the infrastructure on the management side is got a hole, and I think Daniel Alfredsson would be the perfect guy. So I think like time heals, I think that next Thursday is going to be a huge night, and we will see the reception that Daniel gets, and I think down the road, what choice do you have, Eugene, is to throw an olive branch out there and make him part of the Senators organization for life, and get him back, get his family living here, and get him part of the community, because we lost a huge component when he left. It was like